You didn't say much, but she leaned in. Her words stayed calm, but her breath changed. That's not because you were loud. It's because you spoke straight to her tension. And all it took was one phrase. Your eyes said something your lips didn't. Now she's thinking, not because you tried to impress her, but because you saw something before she knew how to hide it. That's the quiet power of a man who knows how to speak to a woman's nervous system. This video is not about playing games. It's about learning to speak to women with calm precision, using words that unlock emotional memory, vulnerability, and attraction without ever chasing it. The men who master these phrases don't just attract, they imprint. And if you use just one or two the right way, you'll stop wondering if she feels something, because you'll see it. Support this channel if these ideas help you. By doing so, you help bring these insights to more men who need to hear this, and you become part of a shift in how real masculine energy is understood and used. Let's begin. Number 1. Your eyes said something your lips didn't. She's speaking, but you're not listening to her words. You're watching something deeper, her micro-expressions, her timing, her glance that lingered a moment too long. And then you say it. Your eyes said something your lips didn't. Now the game changes. She pauses, because most men respond to what she says. But you just responded to what she revealed. You've seen the part of her that isn't polished, practiced, or protected, and she knows it. In that moment, you've bypassed charm, performance, and even logic. You've spoken directly to the unconscious, and that's where tension lives. Why this works. Women feel everything in layers. The outer layer, words, smiles, confidence. The middle layer, voice tone, posture, energy. The inner layer, what's behind the eyes. And most men stay on the surface. But when you observe the smallest shift, a blink, a hesitation, a flicker of uncertainty or softness, and calmly say, your eyes said something your lips didn't. You tell her one thing, I see the part of you others miss. And that feeling is rare. It's intimate, it's disarming, it's powerful. When to use it. Use this when you've both slowed down. There's a pause, a quiet space between questions. She's just said something light, but her eyes hesitated. Drop the phrase softly, don't make it a statement. Make it an observation. She'll feel seen, but not exposed. She'll become aware of how much she was saying without saying it. And now, her body feels both vulnerable and safe. That tension, that's attraction rooted in truth. Final effect. You didn't flirt, you didn't escalate, you didn't compliment her looks, you just made her feel understood on a level she wasn't prepared for. And now, whether she laughs it off or stays silent, she's thinking about it. Not just what you said, but how you knew. That moment lives in her now. And the next time she looks at you, she'll wonder how much more you already saw. Number 2, I'd rather hear what you're not saying. You say this calmly, not as a challenge, not as a trick, but as an invitation to something she didn't expect. Because in every conversation, there are 2 stories being told. What's said and what's held back. Most people respond to the first. But the second one? That's where connection lives. That's where tension lives. That's where the story begins. When you say, I'd rather hear what you're not saying, you tell her, without needing to prove anything, that you're not afraid of depth. And when a man can sit in silence, in her hesitation, in her pause, and still stay calm, he becomes someone who doesn't just listen, he feels. Why this phrase has weight. A woman can give you every signal on the surface. She can be flirty, smiling, open. But the truth of her desire lives in what she hides. Not because she's deceptive, because she's not sure she's safe showing it. And when you look at her gently and say, "I'd rather hear what you're not saying," you send a message to her subconscious. "I know there's more here. I'm not afraid of it, and you don't have to hide it from me." That sentence lands, not in her ears, in her nervous system, because it shifts her from performance into presence. How to use this phrase. This isn't something you say too early. Wait until there's some silence, a shift in energy. She starts telling a story but edits the ending. She answers a question but skips over the detail. That's your moment. Don't pounce. Don't probe. Pause. Then say simply, "I'd rather hear what you're not saying." And don't explain it. Don't push. Let her feel the space you just created, one where she chooses how honest to be. The tension you build isn't about getting something. It's about giving her the feeling. This is different. He actually sees it. And that alone changes the way she relates to you, not just in that moment, but in every interaction after it. What this unlocks. She might pause, she might look away, she might laugh it off. But in her body, something shifts. You've just told her. You're aware of what's unsaid, and that awareness is rare. She might open. She might test. She might go quiet for a moment too long. And that's fine, because you're not here to chase answers. You're here to activate energy. That energy, the one she feels when someone touches the part of her she didn't think was visible, that's what makes you memorable. It's not what she told you. It's what she felt she could have told you, but didn't. And that emotional space becomes a private bond, even in silence. Final thought. This phrase does more than create tension. It teaches her something, that she can show up in full, without needing to explain everything, and still be met with stillness, not reaction. And that's something few men ever give her. Not validation, not control, but emotional permission to simply be more than what she's been trained to say. And the man who gives her that becomes the one she wants to give everything to. Number 3, let's not rush whatever this is. This isn't about control. This is about pace. And when a man controls the pace of a moment, calmly, confidently, he doesn't just take the lead. He sets the tone for emotional depth. Every interaction carries a tempo. Some rush to impress. Others stall out from fear. But the man who knows how to slow things down, right when it starts to build, becomes the center of her curiosity. Because when you say, "Let's not rush whatever this is," you're doing more than asking for patience. You're creating tension through restraint. And restraint is what separates boys who chase from men who attract. Why this phrase changes the energy. Attraction builds in the unknown, and unknown things need time. Most men push for fast outcomes, fast interest, fast closeness, fast validation. But the more you push, the more she feels the pressure to figure out how she feels before her body is ready. When you slow it down, you tell her nervous system, "This doesn't need to go anywhere fast. We're not performing here. We're building." And women relax into presence when a man leads with that energy. This isn't slowness to kill momentum. It's slowness to deepen desire. Because the truth is, what's rushed is often forgotten. But what's anticipated is remembered. How to use it effectively. You say it when the mood is lifting, when she's leaning in, when there's tension, when you could take it further but don't. That pause becomes powerful, because instead of going further, you offer her this. Let's not rush whatever this is. Not as a rejection, not as an evasion, as a calm declaration of emotional control. It hits her in a different way. Because instead of feeling pursued, she feels chosen, at a pace that honors the depth of what's forming. That tells her, you're not just another moment. You're worth a pace that lets something real unfold. And women who hear that, they don't just listen, they lean in, the deeper signal. This phrase carries subtle power because it communicates something most men are too reactive to say. I'm not worried about where this goes, because I already trust what it is. And that level of emotional composure, it's not just attractive, it's addictive, because it breaks the rhythm of what she's used to. Men who move too fast, talk too much, need too much too soon. You're none of that. You're the stillness she didn't know she needed. And stillness is what draws a woman into your orbit without force, emotional impact. After you say it, watch what happens. She'll smile, she might joke, but something in her will drop. Not drop away. Drop into place. Because you just gave her what most men won't: time, space, confidence without demand. And that allows her to feel safe without losing attraction. That's the line every high-value man walks. And with this phrase, you walk it with ease. You don't ask her to decide how she feels. You allow her to experience it, moment by moment, at a pace she didn't know she could trust. And that trust, that becomes the tension that keeps her coming back. Number 4, what if I already know what you're not saying? This is where quiet awareness turns into a gentle challenge, not aggressive, not arrogant, just emotionally grounded presence, a reminder that you're not guessing, you're reading, and the moment you say this, the whole dynamic changes. Because now she's not just thinking about what she's shared, she's suddenly aware of what she hasn't. And that pause, that reflection, brings up something she can't hide. You might already feel what she's too guarded to express. That's the moment tension deepens. Why this phrase works. Attraction lives in the space between truth and concealment. She wants to feel seen, but only by the right man. She wants to feel exposed, but only when it's safe. She wants to feel rid, but only when the energy is calm and confident. This phrase cuts through the mask without ever attacking it. When you say, "What if I already know what you're not saying?" you take control of the emotional frame. Now she's wondering, what does he know? What have I been leaking emotionally? What is he seeing that I didn't mean to show? That's where the psychological tension lives, in the unspoken. And when you create space for that unspoken truth, she feels the pull of your energy without you having to chase hers. When and how to use it. Wait until she's halfway through a thought. She starts a sentence but trails off. She offers a safe version of a story. She changes the subject with a smile that doesn't match her eyes. That's the moment. You don't interrupt. You don't press. You wait. And then calmly you say, "What if I already know what you're not saying?" Not to confront her, not to extract a confession, but to offer recognition. Because more than being heard, women want to be understood without having to perform for it. This phrase tells her you're tuned in, not to what's loud, but to what's real. And that level of emotional signal reading is rare. Rare is attractive. What this phrase unlocks, she may go quiet, she may look away, she may laugh and deflect. But inside, she's processing. Because most people ask questions to learn more, you asked a question that suggests you already know, and that lands differently. Suddenly she realizes, this man doesn't need to be told everything. He feels things that others miss. And that presence, that ability to reflect her internal world without judgment, makes her curious about what else you see. That curiosity becomes desire. Emotional blueprint. This phrase triggers 3 layers of tension. Vulnerability tension. She realizes her guard is more transparent than she thought. Emotional curiosity. She wonders what you've picked up. Mystery projection. She starts to imagine you as someone who's walked through women's emotional patterns before, and now walks through hers. That projection, that's not game, that's leadership. Because you're not showing off. You're simply noticing what matters. And by offering her a moment where she is felt, not just entertained, you become unforgettable. Number 5. I don't need to know everything. I just need to feel what's real. You're in a moment where she's speaking, maybe opening up, maybe spinning a story, maybe dancing around something, and instead of asking for more details, instead of demanding an explanation, you simply say, I don't need to know everything. I just need to feel what's real. That phrase does something powerful. It shifts the focus from facts to feeling, from storytelling to connection, from noise to presence. And in a world full of men trying to figure her out, you become the man who simply feels her truth without needing to label it. That's what makes you stand out. Why this phrase cuts deeper than most. Women are used to men who chase certainty, who want answers, who analyze every word, who try to gain control by collecting more data. But she doesn't want a man who interrogates. She wants a man who trusts his energy. When you say, I don't need to know everything, I just need to feel what's real. You tell her, I'm not here to catch you. I'm here to meet you. In the one place that matters, the present moment. You're letting her know you value what's behind the words, not just the story, but the vibe behind it. And women feel safest and most desired when they sense that a man gets the truth of the moment without needing to explain it. When to use it. This line is perfect when she's explaining herself, when she's giving too much detail, when she's rationalizing something that feels like more. You don't have to call her out. You don't have to push for depth. You just pause, look at her gently, and say, I don't need to know everything. I just need to feel what's real. It's not permission for her to overshare. It's reassurance that you're present, and she doesn't need to perform clarity for you. That space, it brings her guard down, not because you broke it, but because you didn't need to. What she feels when you say it. Relief, that's the word. Because most of her life, she's been expected to explain how she feels, justify her reactions, translate her intuition into logic. You're the first man to say, you don't need to do that here. I already feel what matters. And that makes her stop, because she wasn't prepared for that level of emotional simplicity. She'll test you at first. She might ask, what do you feel then? Smile. Say nothing. Let her think. Let her feel your presence doing the talking. That stillness becomes more powerful than any clever response. The deeper impact. This phrase teaches her something rare. That emotional safety doesn't mean overexposure. It means feeling understood without losing mystery. You're not there to strip her layers. You're there to hold the space where her energy speaks louder than words. And in that space, desire builds. Not just because she's into you, but because she can feel herself more fully through you. That's emotional reflection. And that's what creates bonds that last longer than logic. Number 6. Don't tell me everything. Keep one thing for later. She's opening up, the conversation is flowing, and for a moment you pause. Not because you're overwhelmed, but because you know something she doesn't. Restraint creates desire. So you lean in slightly, keep your tone grounded, and say, "Don't tell me everything. Keep one thing for later." Now she's no longer focused on impressing you with stories. She's feeling a slow, rising curiosity about what she'll save. And more importantly, why you told her to. That single phrase turns you into a frame setter. You're not just listening. You're shaping the rhythm of how connection unfolds. Why this phrase works so well. Most people encourage more details, more sharing, more emotion. But when you gently apply the brakes, you create a psychological reversal. You communicate, "This doesn't need to peak now. This moment can stretch." And in a world trained on instant intimacy and fast dopamine, that signal tells her, this man values tension. This man understands control. This man doesn't need everything now. He's secure enough to wait. And waiting, when done right, becomes foreplay for the mind. When and how to use it. This line is timing sensitive. Wait until she's on a roll. Sharing stories, building momentum, offering insight after insight. And when the moment peaks, when she's just about to dive into more, you calmly offer, "Don't tell me everything. Keep one thing for later." You're not shutting her down. You're redirecting the energy. She might blink, laugh, ask, "Why?" And you simply smile and say, "Because I'd like a reason to come back to this." Now you've turned a conversation into a layered experience. You've turned the moment into a memory with an unfinished thread. That thread becomes the emotional hook. The power of delayed gratification. You didn't seduce her with attention. You seduced her with mystery. You've subtly told her, "Your words are valuable, so valuable that I don't want them all at once." And just like that, she now feels interesting, respected, left wanting more. And that third one? That's the gold. Because when a woman leaves a conversation still wondering how you made her feel so safe and intrigued, she'll want to return. Not just for validation, but to continue a rhythm you started and paused with mastery. What she associates you with. This one sentence teaches her something rare. Emotional pacing creates pleasure. She starts to associate you with restraint, presence, pleasure in pauses, intellectual and emotional tease. She now sees you as someone who doesn't devour energy. You savor it. And men who savor energy, who know how to slow the moment down when it starts to rise, create long-term attraction without ever raising their voice. You've become the man who doesn't just stimulate her, you regulate her. And that's a gift she didn't know she needed. Number 7. Whatever you're guarding, it's safe here. Every woman you meet carries something. It could be a hesitation, a scar, a silence. It could be something recent or something she's never shared. And most of the time, she's not looking for a man to unlock it. She's looking for a man who doesn't try. When you say, "Whatever you're guarding, it's safe here," you don't pry. You don't dig. You let her know, through calm confidence, that you feel the armor, and you're not afraid of it. That's where safety begins, not in promises, but in recognition without pressure. Why this phrase rewires emotional resistance. The world teaches women to guard their softness, to withhold trust, to vet every man with skepticism before revealing depth. And for good reason. But most men, when they sense emotional barriers, either retreat or try to bulldoze through. You do neither. You observe and then say with presence, "Whatever you're guarding, it's safe here." No follow-up, no "tell me more," just presence. And that presence, that tells her more than questions ever could. It tells her, "You don't have to be unguarded for me to stay calm. I already see your energy, and I accept it exactly as it is." That kind of calm becomes unforgettable when to say it. This isn't for the early small talk. This is for the moment you sense she's holding back. She pauses before answering. She smiles, but her energy dips. She changes the subject mid-sentence. You don't react. You don't rush. You give her a breath of silence. Then softly say, "Whatever you're guarding, it's safe here." Don't add anything. Just hold the energy. Her eyes might shift. She might deflect. But something inside her will feel different because she wasn't pushed. She was seen and accepted. That moment imprints. What she learns from this. That not every man needs her to be emotionally naked. That she can still be protected and feminine. That she can stay mysterious and still be fully welcomed. This phrase allows her to coexist with her guard instead of choosing between defense and connection. And ironically, it's that exact permission that makes her soften. You didn't ask her to be vulnerable. You just said it would be safe if she chose to be. And now, the power is in her hands, without fear, without pressure. That choice deepens everything. What you become in her mind. With this phrase, you stop being just another man. You become the man who felt what others missed. You become the space she didn't expect to find. One where tension and trust can exist at the same time. That's where real desire lives. Because now, she's not just drawn to you. She starts to feel safe desiring you. And when safety and desire meet, that's not chemistry. That's devotion. Number 8. I like the way you try to hide your softness. You say this not as a tease, but as a truth. Not as a compliment, but as a calm observation. And when those words land, they don't just surprise her, they disarm her. Because what you've just done is name the part of her she thinks she's hidden well. That soft center she guards with jokes, confidence, or edge. Most people respond to the personality. You just responded to the core. And the moment she hears, "I like the way you try to hide your softness," she realizes you've been listening to more than her words. You've been feeling who she is underneath them. Why this phrase touches her deeply. Softness is powerful, but it's often buried under stories, roles, and protective layers. She might be witty, she might be strong, she might lead with independence. But inside, she's still soft. She's still feminine in ways she rarely shows. And most men never get to see that side because they never earned her trust or made her feel safe enough to reveal it. You just bypassed all of that with one phrase. You didn't ask for her vulnerability. You simply noticed that she had some and was holding it close. And by liking it, not exposing it, you created safety in the tension. When to say it. This isn't a phrase for flattery. It's a mirror. You say it when you've seen enough to feel the contrast. She might act tough. She might laugh loudly. She might flirt with boldness. But then there's a softness. In the pause, in the eye contact, in the way she breathes when you hold silence. That's when you deliver it. I like the way you try to hide your softness. Then stay still. Don't smile too much. Don't try to be clever. Just let her sit in that. Because now she's not thinking about you. She's thinking about herself, in your eyes. What this phrase unlocks. Self-reflection, that's what this creates. And in a woman's nervous system, self-reflection plus emotional safety. Intimacy. She begins to wonder, what else has he noticed? Why does he see that when others don't? How do I feel about being that visible? And the answers lead her deeper into connection. You didn't chase. You didn't beg for closeness. You named what's hidden and let her sit with it. Now the power is hers, but the pull is yours, the psychological echo. She may never admit how much this line stayed with her, but she'll think about it. In moments when she wants to perform, she'll remember the man who noticed her softness beneath the edge. In moments when she wants to be seen but doesn't know how, she'll wish you were there again. That's emotional anchoring, and men who create that kind of echo, who don't touch the body but touch the unseen, become the ones women remember long after the conversation ends. You are no longer a personality in the room. You're the presence in her memory. You didn't speak louder. You spoke deeper. These phrases aren't tactics. They're emotional signals. They work because they bypass logic and speak directly to a woman's nervous system. You didn't chase. You didn't perform. You simply reflected what most men never notice. And in that reflection, desire lives. If you've made it this far, comment "Unstoppable" below. I want to see who's serious about mastering this. And if you want my complete Bad Boy Psychology Blueprint, the ebook that shows you how to lead with silence, attraction, and grounded masculinity, comment "Level Up," and I'll know who wants to go deeper. Support this channel so we can keep making this kind of real, raw content available to the men who need it most. Your presence changes more than just you. It shifts the whole standard of masculinity. Keep building. You're not chasing women anymore. You're attracting energy.